We know, of course, my sister and brother, that our battle as Christians is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, against spiritual hosts of wickedness. In the spirit, therefore, there has been constant opposition to the good work being done at KwaSizabantu. One need only consider the attempt of verification by News24, which devastated our hearts and caused deep distress for many of us. Yet you remember the words of Christ, who said, "In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, for I have overcome the world."
Many years ago, during the 1950s, a young man had a calling to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ among the Zulu nation of South Africa. It was at the time when discriminatory laws based on race directed the daily lives of all South Africans. The repressive system was called apartheid. But despite the laws that were in place to divide people, Reverend Erlo Stigen united them in God's all-surpassing love. In 1970, he acquired a farm which became KwaSizabantu Mission. What started as a small mission station in rural Africa has since developed into a self-sustaining multi-billion rand ministry that supplies expertise, jobs, education, and food for thousands. The mission's vegetables, fruit, and other products have found their way to the shelves of some of the country's biggest retailers. The spring water plant expanded to bottle up to 23 million liters per month, making Akwele the biggest bottled water brand in South Africa. There's even a restoration program for drug addicts at the mission that has changed the lives of many. But KwaSizabantu's success story also exposed the mission and its founder, now in his late 80s, to envy. This in turn resulted in rebellion, betrayal, and finally, brutal persecution, with the South African media playing a huge role.
My naam is Adrian Basson, ek is die redakteur van News24, Suid-Afrika se grootste nuuswebwerf.
On 19 September 2020, Adrian Basson launched an unprecedented attack against KwaSizabantu with an hour-long documentary, Exodus. It was apparently scripted to 6 affidavits that spoke of alleged horror and abuse at the mission. 2 days later, referring to KwaSizabantu, Basson told his readers not to buy Akwele if they wanted to stop a cult. This is the Christian mission that Basson was campaigning to close down through a trial by media, even though he and his investigative journalists had never been here. They considered 6 untested affidavits sufficient evidence. Within 1 week, News24 published more than 30 articles under the Exodus banner, attempting to discredit KwaSizabantu. 16 alone on day 1 of the News24 campaign. It was so destructive that by the end of September 2020, 60% of KwaSizabantu's trade partners had removed Akwele and the mission's export quality produce from their shelves. Many consumers also withdrew their support. This had devastating financial implications that still affect the mission 2 years later. It also led to reduced working hours for some of the mission's 600 employees, resulting in tension and insecurity. KwaSizabantu and the Akwele brand were hard-pressed, and the salvage operation continues. Then, at the end of 2020, an independent panel that investigated the News24 allegations found them groundless based on falsehoods and even blatant lies. The panel consisted of advocate Kumbushazi and Peter Lemote, a Johannesburg lawyer. Their investigation included hundreds of submissions, 8 sworn affidavits, 15 interviews with people who were against the mission and 21 supporting them. Adrian Basson refused to assist the independent panel in any way. While national retailers found the panel's report credible and returned Akwele and the other products to the shelves, Basson disregarded the findings and carried on with the media campaign, calling the investigation lightweight.
Ek is baie trots oor wat ons ondersoek tot dusver bereik het. Dan het KwaSizabantu self ook 'n interne paneel aangestel wat 'n ondersoek gedoen het, na my mening bietjie liggewig verslag.
A month after the release of the independent panel's report, the veteran investigative journalist Susan Puren visited the mission. Writing independently for the investigative magazine Noseweek, the multi-award-winning Puren took Basson and his investigation apart in an article. Headline: KwaSizabantu Mission. Rape-ridden cult, or simply rape by the media? She exposed that Exodus was riddled with lies, despite Basson's claim of conducting a comprehensive investigation lasting 7 months. In response to the article, Basson wrote a furious private letter to Noseweek's editor, Martin Wells, calling Puren's findings an extraordinary attack on News24's journalism and the victims of sexual abuse. Noseweek responded in public and to the point. All Noseweek was doing was what journalists are supposed to do: establish the truth and not taking another publication's so-called findings for granted. Nonetheless, Basson seemingly felt it would be better for his campaign not to make his readers and the judges of journalism awards aware of Noseweek's very different findings.